Hey everyone, this is Raw Dogs. Raw Dogs number 114.
Christ.
It's fun to say the numbers out loud every time now because it's a staggering amount, and it's just fun to acknowledge that. We've been doing this for a while, Dylan.
Since November of 2019.
Good Lord. My name is Brad, and I'm excited to talk about today's game.
Me too. My name's Dylan.
And Tyler,
or the soup du jour, if you will.
This week you're the soup du jour.
I'm kind of it every day.
Well, in 3 months,
because I'm the soup of the day every day.
You'll be something else in 3 months, probably.
Like all great artists, I have to do that in order to keep things fresh.
Got to keep reinventing yourself. And Tyler will be joining us. He slept through his alarm.
He sure did.
It's not easy to get somewhere by 11 in the morning in this day and age.
I actually find it very easy.
I've been up since 5.
I've been up since 6.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about as late as I can sleep anymore.
I can't sleep in anymore. It's a thing.
Yeah. God, we are fucking old, man.
Well, we have different jobs.
Dude, we're older than Carla from Cheers.
Dude, we're older than Marv from Home Alone.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
That guy looks ancient.
I was watching Wicker Man, and I think Christopher Lee was probably 35. I was trying to do the math in my head. If he was as ancient as he was.
Because that's late 60s, right?
73, I want to say.
Okay. That's close.
Today, we're talking about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And this, just initial thoughts. I was not looking forward to this game.
Yeah.
I thought the trailer didn't look promising.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
Whenever I see Troy Baker is in something, it's not that he's not good, because he is good. Mm-hmm. It's just a little bit like the Chris Prattification of the video game industry, where he's just everything.
But when you find someone who's so good at like mocap and you need reliable work, and he's a very good imitator.
I think, though, that, I don't know. I think I'd rather... He's not a sell to me. I think he probably is a sell to some people. Like when they see he's the voice of a character, like, oh, I love Troy Baker. That's great.
It's why they no longer have like actual voice actors do movies, like cartoon movies anymore. They need something to put on the screen where it's like, I'm going to hear Steve Carell's voice for the next 90 minutes.
And sometimes it's additive. Like when it's a comedian, I think it is very additive because they have that comedic timing, whereas maybe voice actors don't have as much experience with that. But overall, though, Great Circle, I was not super excited, but it's also Game Pass. So
with no real loss.
There's no harm, no foul. I'll check it out. And I did very much enjoy this game. How about you, Dylan?
I got more excited the more it went along. There was this whole kind of lead-in kind of preview with Troy Baker and a bunch of the animators and the writers, and they were talking about just what they were going for with it, kind of an artist statement. And I was like, oh no, I'm kind of locked in on this. I like this idea. I did wait for a few early reviews in order to justify I bought it.
That blew my mind when I heard you bought it.
I know.
Because you got it, what, 2 or 3 days? 2 days earlier.
2 days earlier.
And you bought the digital version.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do it, though. It was a drunk decision. I'll be absolutely honest. But I was like, my wife had like this trip she had to go on for a full day. And all my chores around the house, were done and everything was taken care of. And I said, I'm going to sit my ass down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play this video game.
It hit at the right time, too. I think Xbox definitely timed it out appropriately because it landed like right when a weekend started. And it was going to come to Game Pass for free like at the end. I want to say it was like the end of the weekend. Where it was
basically the Saturday or Sunday night.
Yeah. And I was like, damn, I really would like to play it right now. But I'm saving money at the moment and trying to get a house purchased. So I held off, but...
Well, you missed a really great skin. You could have had...
the Temple of Doom skin.
The Temple of Doom skin, which I have him in a lot.
Yeah, and well, that was Harrison Ford at his most bulked out, despite the fact that we'll talk about that in the Popcorn Dogs, where he actually wasn't in a lot of the shots. He hurt his back very badly for that film. So it was, if it's not his face, it's probably not him.
I feel like he's really accident prone. Didn't he get like his foot crushed in one of the Millennium Falcon doors or something?
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Someone lost a job for that one too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. That sucks, though.
Well,
but this is also a man who gets high and flies airplanes into golf courses. So
he's a cool dude.
That's gold earring and all.
Yeah, Harrison Ford is a man's man. But this game, yeah, it came out and it works. It works as Indiana Jones. This is started getting developed in January 2021 when Machine Games announced the game's development. Directed by Björk Gustafsson and Axel Torvenius. Todd Howard conceived the story. Todd Howard, my man, who he's done a couple of good things.
Our great little hobbit.
It was interesting seeing him stand on stage with Troy Baker and Harrison Ford.
It's weird.
It's like, who brought their kid out there?
Yeah, he does kind of look like he just got done having his bar mitzvah.
Yeah, I guess relatively big fan of his. I've been thinking a lot about Skyrim lately. I'm definitely going to do a Skyrim run this year.
Really?
In VR.
It makes the experience so much better.
Well, and I think that I'm going to play it on the easiest difficulty because the gameplay is not why I'm in that game. I am there to live in the world and to walk around and the music and the atmosphere.
Are you just going to immerse yourself in like the role playing of it?
No fast travel. I'm going to try and do as much walking as I can.
That's cool.
Yep.
I kind of like that idea because it really it's a good challenge to give yourself because then you can kind of appreciate the little corners you sort of miss because there's Easter eggs everywhere in those games, like references to things like two apples next to like a knife or something that make it look like a penis. And obviously someone put that there on purpose.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Little Easter eggs. Todd Howard conceived the story and written by Tommy Tjordsen Bjork. That video you were talking about where they were hyping up the game, there was one person that was working on it that had like a rainbow colored hair, and they said they were so excited to share the love of Indiana Jones with the younger generation, and the internet turned on the game right there, which is of course horrible and stupid and trollish. But everyone's like, Indiana Jones is gonna be woke now. This fucking ruining the franchise. And it was great. It was just great to see on Reddit after this game came out. Everyone's like, we really should apologize to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
honestly,
how dare they? You can't judge a person by how they look.
It's the thing everyone says. All those old idioms, you just throw them out the window when you see that they might be queer in some way.
But in Indiana Jones, it's interesting because it's an older franchise. It's got a couple of modern takes, but
including Dial of Destiny, which came out last year, right? Or was that 2 years ago?
It might have been 2 years ago. I have it for our popcorn dogs, but those movies left such an indelible impression. They are, up there as one of the greatest franchises of all time. People have very strong feelings about Indiana Jones.
I know people who still say Raiders is their favorite film of all time.
Raiders does have a little extra magic, I think, over the other ones.
I think so, yeah.
But
so Machine Games, they also developed what I would call like a magnificent duology. There is a third one, but I don't count Youngblood. Wolfenstein, the reboots.
I haven't played any of them. I've heard very good things.
This is what gave me the confidence to buy the game because those are kind of cinematic first-person games with a lot of similar mechanics, storytelling techniques. I would say those rank as some of my favorite of the last gen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, it's an alternate history, which is also, you're getting me on that alone. I love alternate history stuff, even if it's just something as simple as the Nazis win.
Yeah.
Because they develop some machinery based off of old Jewish technology. That's what the plot is.
Yeah.
And then they do a time skip to the 60s. It's very cool seeing all that play out. But more importantly, just really good first-person controls.
It's interesting that the Machine Games, the makers of Wolfenstein, famous for making games about killing Nazis,
also make another one about killing Nazis.
Who should be killed?
I mean, I say Nazis should be killed.
should be punched in the face.
Maybe
there's definitely a gradient there.
CEOs of insurance companies.
Yeah. You see a movie like Jojo Rabbit, though, and that kind of like warps your perspective a little bit, seeing a kid indoctrinated. It's tough.
Yeah.
But Machine Games, they came in to make this, and, that's the pedigree you want to handle a ballsy game like Indiana Jones, a character who people expect things of, who they expect a big performance, they expect machismo, bravado, they expect funny lines, badass takes, anger, and wonder. Indiana Jones has a sense of wonder, which I think is a little underrated as well.
It's all about majesty. It's the idea of history coming to life right before your eyes.
Yeah, and he gets it as an archaeologist. So Troy Baker is Indiana Jones. I'm going to say a hot take. I don't like his performance.
I did like it.
To me, he is 100% nailing like that low tone, measured, whenever it's like that calm delivery. But if you watch the movies, Indiana Jones, he has seething anger. He has big smiles, wonder. This Indiana Jones feels one note the whole time.
I kind of agree.
And that really bothers me because Indiana Jones has a wiliness. Harrison Ford like brings a lot of like big ups and down energies. And this one is just very much like kind of the whole time talking like that. It really bothers me because I wish there were peaks and valleys, and instead it's just kind of a one-line performance.
I noticed the subtleties, and I think that he captured like quiet moments way better than like the action moments. I feel like he actually had a little more freedom when he wasn't getting mocapped and he was doing lines.
Yeah.
Like when you're actually out as Indy, I think that's where he really expresses himself, because I think he's so reverent of the role he's playing that he plays it a little too safe.
I agree. Yeah. He's too afraid to step on anyone's toes, so he's not taking swings.
Exactly.
Which is one of the reasons I really like Alden Ehrenreich in Solo, because he did his own performance.
Which is okay.
I like Solo.
I mean, take apart the fact that this should not be a character arc for the man we see in A New Hope in one movie.
Right.
But
I wound up liking Han Solo a lot more than Lando Calrissian. Because Donald Glover, it was just an impression. And I don't want an impression, I want a performance.
Right. But he does a damn good job in that as well, though.
Yeah.
I think he was perfect casting as far as that goes, even though it's basically stunt casting made flesh. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I do think that Alden did a really good job. I found Han Solo charming, likable. A bit of that brattiness was still there, but he was also a little more sensitive. And then by the end of the movie, you kind of see how his feelings do shift to the New Hope Han Solo. Because I don't expect characters to be the same in a prequel. That's just crazy.
Right. And it was that like stunt casting and also just like stunt story, some term like that, when they have Han shoot first be like the climax of the film. I'm like, you don't need to be that obvious with your writing.
It's just so... being self-referential only works in comedies or if your shit is literally just that.
I think also the story for Great Circle falls short as well. It's great, and I think it hits the notes.
Yeah.
For it to be just like Raiders Part 2 again, it does it. I don't know. You have the same over-the-top Nazi performance, which very much seems derivative of one of the main bad guys from the first one. He's great.
I like that guy. He's a good actor.
He's good, but also it's like Nazis, Christian ideology, and I don't know. I could have give me something new, something big.
Well, and I think that speaks to even the developers playing it safe. I did read that Xbox execs are gaga over this game.
They're gaga over the money they're making. That's what they're gaga over.
But that's fine, because I would like to see more of these.
Yeah.
And I think that despite this one's flaws, I had a lot of fun with it. And I think that much like I felt with Breath of the Wild, I think that if they have a Tears of the Kingdom to this one's, like, Breath of the Wild, it might actually go. It might actually work a lot better.
I wish that they would just do something different. I love it when Indy fights the thuggies.
Kalima.
Yeah, and I like it when he fights Russians. I like it when he fights other people because other people get in the way of saving history and they're bad guys.
Yeah, the Nazi thing was a little heavy in this one, and it takes place when 1939.
It takes place in 1937.
Okay, 1937.
So this takes place after between Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Last Crusade. So also after Temple of Doom, which is the first one.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's always weird to think that. I still forget.
Yeah.
But it's so weird that they had a chronology going.
It's cool that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that is something that I really wish they had kind of adhered to a little bit more, where it's not about a through line. It's about this adventure, start to end. It doesn't need to be like this. We're learning about his family. We're learning about who he is. And I think that's a Spielbergian conceit, because it's impossible for him to make a movie where he doesn't put his current life into it.
You're right.
I'm an older father now. I'm an old man. I'm a grandpa, and it's just like
how when
his edges get rounded as he gets older.
Right.
And I want divorced, angry Spielberg making movies.
I mean, honestly, it's like when musicians first have a child, and then there's one album in the middle of all their stuff where it's kind of like, and then I saw her beautiful face.
And it's the lightest fun stuff.
Yeah.
There's one artist named Anders Osborne. I love Black Eye Galaxy because he was going through fucking hardcore rehab off of serious drugs, and that album fucks. And then he just got super happy, and his next album, God bless him for being clean.
Hell yeah, man.
But that album is just not as interesting.
Sometimes you need the anger. A lot of my art I've found, especially when I draw, is based off of a fuck you attitude, like anger and all this stuff. And it's been rough trying to figure out what else to draw from. You know what I mean? And it's very funny because oh my God, no, I lost my train of thought. No, like it's very funny to see the edges rounded on some of these people, because when you have a kid, you're not unhappy about it.
Yeah. Yep. And that just, you can see Indy's character kind of change. So yeah, Troy Baker's Indiana Jones. Overall, I think it is a great performance, but to me, it's not Indy, and that's why I'll take the worst Indiana Jones movie over this any day, because at least it's Harrison Ford.
Right.
And you can...
For how much longer, though?
He brings an energy to it, though.
Yeah.
We have Alessandra Mastronardi as Gina Lombardi. I think she's fine.
I think she's great.
I think she... I don't know, her character kind of plateaus a little bit, and by the time you get to... Where is that last location? South? In Sukhothai. Once you're in Sukhothai, her character doesn't really have a ton to do.
No, I know.
I don't know. She's a nice foil for Jones. I don't think that, having a journalist is a fun take for a female character, because she has her own ambitions, and you can immediately pick up, he has no respect for journalists that are just going to get in the way and kind of spoil things.
She also is a bit of a black cat, a bit of a cad, a thief, a bit of a rogue.
Yeah. Luckily she's there because Indy could not break into a door. Luckily she has the ability to lockpick.
But that's fine too, because here's the one thing I will say that makes, not to like ruin how I totally feel, the one thing that makes this better than a lot of imitators, because there's imitations before imitations now. There's like a whole line of succession for these things. Because think about the Uncharted series, which I find to be, I think the new Tomb Raiders are great, but the Uncharted series especially is not as good as this, because you're giving me kind of dollar store Indiana Jones.
I would say that I do prefer Nolan North's performance though to Troy Baker's Indiana Jones, because I don't know, it feels more original.
Because that's true.
Even though it's completely derivative, it's still like it's his own performance. And I just have such an issue with like adhering yourself so strongly to an impression.
I know that, but like, what else were they supposed to do?
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
There's
think they
really
could have
no
found
way around it.
I think they could have found a voice actor, or I wish Troy would have taken swings. Maybe they didn't want him to. Maybe they wanted him to play it extremely safe. But
one of the things, though, is that Uncharted is just kind of slop you run through. It's all catered around you. It's very beautiful. I like the Uncharted games just fine. I don't think they're like masterpieces as some people do. People who are maybe like more story driven, like Tyler, our absent host. He loves that shit. He loves cinematography in video games.
Yeah.
For me, I like a bit of that, but if you're going to give me the Indiana Jones like adventurer, like historian kind of experience, give me something like this. Like, as unrefined as I do think The Great Circle is, I still think that it achieves a lot more by way of tone and atmosphere and what you're actually doing, because I think that they trust you a little harder in this than to like have thoughts on history and maybe know a few things beforehand than Uncharted does, where I feel like I'm being slapped in the face like, oh, this is Shangri-La. It's a mythical city and the blah, blah, blah.
The writing is leaps and bounds better in this one than the Uncharted game.
Yeah.
What works very well is the organic moments too, because the movies have a silliness to the combat, where you could see Indy reach for a weapon and pick up like a loofah or something like that, or you know, a brush to scrub your back, and you could see him throw it at a Nazi. And whenever I do that in the game, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
When he picks up a guitar and slams someone, that's great. And
because Troy Baker loves guitars.
Yeah, I saw that guitar. There's even an achievement for that, right?
Yeah.
What's it say?
I think it says El Kabong or something, or you guessed it or something like that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, there's like a comedy to the gameplay which works. And I think that the story has really great moments too. And it even nails some of the Spielberg cinematography. There's one...
Honestly, those mocap directors and those visual artists deserve all the respect in the world. This game looks fabulous.
Yeah.
The characters look like actual human beings. And I know we've gotten to the point where that's generally true.
Emmerich Voss, I think, looks the best.
Oh, yeah.
He looks the most
crags
impressive.
in his face.
I think Gina Lombardi has a little...
She's a little smooth.
She has a Skyrim face, a little Mass Effect Andromeda face at times, where her it's very flat and you can see emotions are being like buttons instead of like an organic person. Yeah, I don't know. She kind of, to me, just kind of petered off at the end, where I wanted her to have bigger moments as well.
Well, the one thing I'll say, compare this though then to like Jedi Survivor, which has really great facial animations.
That holds up completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The aliens, the main characters, they all fucking look great.
They emote
the whole way
perfectly.
through. Yeah.
I mean, those are some of my favorite games of all time, but it's
weird to say that about an EA game.
You can't deny it. For me, it's Respawn.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to give that to Respawn.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that they have them continue to work on them.
I need Cal Kestis to arrive in the main Star Wars universe somehow.
You know what's even funnier is that with like the Wolfenstein games, there was no mocap for the first one.
Yeah.
Of their reboot, the First Order, or the New Order, sorry. But in the second one, they did suddenly.
Yeah.
But then it's a little weirder.
Yeah.
Because who is that woman who played your mentor in Fallen Order?
Deborah Wilson.
Deborah Wilson was in Wolfenstein 2.
She was also on Mad TV.
Weird.
I know, right?
She's in a lot of
games.
I think she's in Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League as Amanda Waller as well.
That sounds right.
Though I never would know to play it.
We own it now.
Oh my God, is it out?
It's a PlayStation monthly game now.
I mean, I have that. I have the
Yeah.
Plus Premium or whatever. She's great. And they capture her for some reason so much better than everyone else because she has very wide eyes. And I feel like everyone else is playing with some sort of morphing, to make them not quite look like themselves, but also themselves.
Yeah. I think The characters mostly look pretty great in this, though.
I mean, I agree with that.
Marios Gabrias as Emmerich Voss. Fantastic performance.
Yeah.
Despicable Nazi. There's something that happens in every movie and every time Indiana Jones is on screen. You're not so different than me, Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
Fucking everyone's got to compare themselves to Dr. Jones, which is what you want with a character, right? That's a good villain. Someone that the hero has to compare themselves to and what makes them different and what makes them not that villain.
Well, especially when he's like the platonic ideal of a 20th century man. He's like the dude. He's like the most like, this is what I want to be. Like he's the most, what would you call that? Like something you want, like something you strive to be.
Like desire? I don't know what you mean.
There's a word
what you want to emulate?
Emulatable.
Emmerich Voss?
No, indie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Emmerich Voss. What are you talking about, Dylan?
No. But yeah.
Dude, he is just disgusting, despicable, and to the point of like getting the cinematography kind of like Spielberg. There's a shot where they're fighting by the pyramids, and a shot goes through like someone's hat, and then it shoots like a picture of Adolf Hitler. It's just like a very Spielberg thing. Like the background action is also just turning into like little frames as well. And yeah, there's good moments like that. And then Tony Todd, I think it's his last performance as Locus. He is the actor who played Candyman.
Oh, really?
He plays the giant dude.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize he died.
Yep. I believe this is his last performance. And
he did a good job.
Locus is good. Yeah, I like it enough. He's great. Some of the other giant boss fights.
No.
I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, a few too many giants.
I don't know. Boss fights.
I don't know if boss fights are necessary in a game like this.
Not a boss fight like that. Indie fights heavies. There's always supposed to be that one big fucking dude you have a brawl with, and I like that.
Right, like it with the airplanes and raiders.
What I would have liked to jump right to the end of the game, when you're fighting Emmerich Voss, and he's like, "Careful, I know karate," and he talks about how badass he is. If Indy punched him once and it knocked him out, that would have been a much better ending than having to have a boss fight with the dude.
It's also funny because karate is not applicable in real world situations.
I've been reading Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and to hear Brad Pitt's character just trash Bruce Lee is so funny because you hear his like, it's not even out loud, just hear him thinking about how Bruce Lee is a twerp. He has no real world experience. Yeah, it's very funny.
But that's most martial arts are for sparring, and they're arts more than anything.
Yeah.
But, talk to an Israeli defense person about what it actually means to fight.
Yeah.
Because that's the shit that is out to kill.
This is a first-person game, which a lot of people had issues with when it was announced, or there were concerns about, maybe is the more appropriate word.
Yeah, me too. I think I did too. I think we talked on an episode where we saw the first trailer for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like,
because, I don't know, the thought of having to platform, which is the word that just came to mind. You don't want Indiana Jones to be platforming, but there are moments where he is doing big acrobatic moments, and the thought of doing that in first person sounded
awful.
Sounded wrong.
Because you have no sense of your feet in first person, generally speaking. So you have to guess where ledges are because the human mind can look up and down really quick, but when you're doing that with a controller, you're not going up, down, up, down, up, down.
No.
Because you're blinking too. So like you have no idea where your footing actually is.
Yeah.
In that sense of distance. Because I will say this about this game.
First person platforming is always weird.
I will say this. The game is a little floaty.
Yeah.
There are times where I felt like I should have felt more solid. Maybe going slower might have been the thing because I had Indy fucking bumping throughout those worlds. He was running like crazy. Are you kidding me?
He ran everywhere. He was just always running. He was just sprinting through things.
Man, he'd be skinny as a bone by the end of that. Great calf muscles probably.
Picking up all the pieces of bread on people's plates though and eating them.
It's so funny. It's like Oh, I have like 20 croissants.
I'm carrying 2 changes of outfits, 3 croissants.
I kind of liked that though too, because I'm like, oh, sometimes he needs a break.
Yeah. I think, yeah, the gameplay works. First person, the whip was something that I was really apprehensive about too. I wound up almost never using it for combat.
I used it a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah. When I was little, I was such a fan of these movies because I'd started renting movies on my own from like the video store. And this is probably like the mid 90s, something like that. Because my mom would just let me rent whatever to, I don't know, shut me up. And I said, I want a whip. And she said, okay. And with no reservations.
Yeah.
And I got a bullwhip. And I wish I still had
it. It's like a dangerous toy to give a child.
But
because it's not a toy.
But here's the thing. I got really good with it.
Yeah.
I could still do all the cracks. I can do a loop lasso. I can do a bunch of stuff. Now the stuff that Indy does with whips where it like loops around like a pillar and then you can swing across, that doesn't exist in real life. I'm going to tell you because I tried.
That always weirded me out in the movies too. First try, always can whip it onto something and he swings and he just like does a little sploop with it and it just comes right off.
Well,
the whip gets weirdly long in the game too. You can whip way high and climb up, or also like you can slide down on it. I'm like, I don't think this is how whips work ever. That's got to be like a 15-foot whip in some of these scenes I'm watching.
Man, I didn't question it too hard because every time I cracked that whip, I felt like a little boy again.
The best moment for me with the whip was in the Vatican, and I was up on this balcony, and I could see an open window over there, and I saw something to whip, and I couldn't get it from standing there, so I just went and did a jump.
And then you whipped in midair.
And it felt wonky, it felt dangerous, it felt scary, and it felt like how I think swinging with the whip should actually feel. It felt really cool.
There's a lot of rooftop parts in the Vatican,
yeah,
which is cool. I like it. I like the infiltration. I honestly thought, because I didn't know what this game actually was going into it.
Yeah.
I thought that it was going to be way more linear.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very weirdly open world. And I think that was a very cool choice.
I think it was a good idea, too, because these worlds aren't that big. They're pretty contained. Like, realism aside, it doesn't really matter in something like this because you don't want to be trekking across half a desert to get to the pyramids.
Yeah.
You just don't want to do that. So they condensed everything.
Right.
And fucked with the size of things, too.
That's a contrivance in video games. The fact that in Assassin's Creed, you can just like ride a horse between pyramids. I'm like, that's not how that works.
I don't want to. I wouldn't want to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because I think this is actually a realized form. And like what I really appreciate most about it is that they capture everything so well. You're in a period piece. And everything is pretty meticulous. Everyone has food that they would be eating at the time. They're dressed the way they should.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that those designers spent hours and hours and hours just looking up reference photos and trying to figure out how to implement them.
Yeah. So there's 2 parts to the game.
Yeah.
There is the open world part. Then there's also very scripted cinematic sequences. And those, for me, they really fuck.
They do, yeah.
The sequence where you're leaving the Vatican and you have to shoot your way up to get onto a blimp, like that whole sequence works for me so much. The sequence of the submarine in the Andes, is that where it's like the mountaintops? Yeah. Fantastic.
It's cool.
It's cool that they have both of them too. How much did you dive into the open world?
I did quite a bit.
Yeah.
I basically 100'd the Vatican, and then me thinking that, they might change the gameplay up. No, you're set into another vaguely open world. And I was like, some of these rewards are worth it. Some of these rewards are definitely not.
Yeah.
They're just for completionists.
And some of these are for assholes that just want to play this game another 30 hours. And you're not an asshole.
No, you're definitely not an asshole.
But you know what I mean?
They want to live in the world.
A younger Brad would do that. And I just am so happy that I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't need to do all this. While I also did way more than I needed to.
Well, specifically finding those artifacts.
I did all of that. Only because I got so far. It's one of those things where it's like, if I spent another 3 hours, I'd get the last, 6 or 7 that I needed. Sadly, one of those quests was much longer than I thought it would. But I'm the same with like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. By the time I was done, it was 110 hours. And I saw that if I put in 3 more hours, I could platinum. I'm like, shit.
Might as well do it.
I'm too close to
Might as well scrape the plate.
Yeah.
I get that. I've had that with several games where I knew I was about to be done. Metaphor, for example.
Yeah.
Something you can't really get everything done the first playthrough, but I still scraped up as much as I could because there was a point where I knew I could like beat the boss pretty consistently.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I might as well fuck around and see what small rewards I can get along the way. Maybe an extra item or something.
I did the same thing with Persona 5,
Yeah.
where to platinum, I just had to go through like what would have been the first 10 hours of the game again to get to like the last fucking spirit or whatever, summon, whatever. What do they got? Personas. I'm a dummy.
Wow, it's right in the title.
It is fun though when you go back to a game and you skip all the cutscenes and you see how fast you can actually get through stuff. I bet a speedrun of this game would be pretty fun because Indy just sprinting by everybody because you don't have to fight almost anything at all.
You can run away.
Just sprint through everything, do a couple of whips, grab something, and get out of there. The stealth
Doesn't quite work.
It's a big part of the game.
I know.
The line of sight nonsense really bothers me because there are points where you're clearly seeing somebody. If someone's 30 feet away from me and they're standing behind a box, but a chest up, there's above the box, I'm going to see him.
Yeah.
That's really game breaking to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Immersion breaking anyways.
Yeah, but it's within its realm of like, even like in the Metal Gear Solid games, some of the stealth in that is also kind of like, it doesn't always work. And I still don't think AI for like enemies is powerful enough to give you that.
Yeah.
Because most people will in real life would fail at any stealth mission anyway.
Yeah.
What, are they going to make the game too hard for people who can't do it?
There are sequences where the stealth becomes very fun though. And I do appreciate the fact that he does have the one hit like punch kill from behind or like one hit kill from behind
with the broomstick.
Because that's canon for him. He can do that. And I like that they also use disguises. And once I found out that with a disguise, I could just go anywhere and almost never get into trouble. Like as soon as I got to the pyramids, but first thing I went to Google. I'm like, where do I get my disguise?
It's very funny when he claims he's a priest from Boston, and I'm like, you didn't even try for the accent.
Yeah,
man, the Vatican's wicked big, man.
It's wicked awesome, man. Wow, I can't do it. Can't do a Boston. And the disguises, though, integral to the experience for me.
I love that.
Fist fighting, a miss to me.
A miss. It, like I said, it's floaty. You can kind of feel the punches, and you'll get a little kickback from the controller. But I never felt like his punches were connecting. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, the sounds are good.
Yeah, they're great,
and that does a lot for me to help with it. But the whole like dodging mechanic.
Oh, I hate the dodging.
That
I don't want to strafe in first person unless it's Metroid Prime.
It's a weird thing where I want no tutorials, but I also want the tutorials I need very well made.
Yep.
And I think if they had a tutorial that more properly,
explained
more elegantly explained how it worked.
Yeah.
Because I got to the first boxing ring and I tried it for like 2 minutes. I said, there's no way I'm going to do this or put in any more effort. Instead, I will just grab every shovel or pole like instrument, and that's all I need.
I did like the fact that you could find books that teach you how to do things a little bit better throughout the world.
Yeah.
Reminded me of Skyrim, speaking of that.
Yeah, I missed an important book, I guess.
I think I missed the same one.
Lucky Hat?
Nope, I had that one.
Lucky Hat's like where you can die and get one come back to life.
Yeah. It was awesome.
I never got that one.
It was in the Vatican.
The books are cool. It's funny that he also picks up comic books like, well, I don't know about this, but maybe my college students will like it. I'm like, why are you picking up these comics, dude? You're trying to stop Nazis from stealing an ancient relic.
Oh, come on. You read Felix the Cat. Probably based on the...
It's funny that Indy says, I don't even like these. Puts it in his pocket.
Now, listen, we know for a fact he's probably jerked off to Betty Boop.
I don't know.
That's canon.
I don't know if we can say that for a fact.
I'm going to say that he probably did.
Maybe. I'll concede that point to you. He loves Betty Boop and probably booped to her many times.
It's booped to her. It's very funny for me to think of Indiana Jones liking hentai. Because they used to make little
this belongs in a museum.
This belongs in my secret museum in my closet.
The melee weapons, it comes from the realm of Breath of the Wild, where
they break after several uses.
They break very quickly.
Depending on what you grab, though, what I actually found cool about that mechanic is that depending on what you chose, you could do different things, and you kind of had to think on the spot. And you had to like snap into it, which I actually liked because you're just looking around for a weapon. You're like, oh shit, they're on my tail.
And well, it's funny. You're like getting chased around a table and you just grab something.
Yeah, it's fun.
Watching Video Game Donkey, when he found out he could throw weapons, the whole first like 5 minutes of his video about this is just him throwing weapons at people. And it's great.
It's cool.
It's funny throwing a bottle at someone.
I think that aspect of it works because it forces you, unlike sometimes in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom where I'm like, this is like some ancient sword you found, which looks fantastic and well made. How is it breaking after like 5 slashes?
And there's no way to repair them in that game.
There should be a repair.
There's repair kits in this. I don't know the efficacy. I never used one.
I never touched it.
I don't know if I was supposed to repair my shovel or repair my gun. I didn't see any point to it.
I have repaired my gun because you can pistol whip in the game.
And that can damage it?
Yeah.
Well, to me, though, I guess pistol whip would be the only thing I'd use the gun for because you do one shot, you've alerted everybody.
I didn't mind getting found out.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like ghost anything in this game. You know, like a ghost run in Dishonored is like you never get seen by anyone.
Yeah.
There's no point to that because it seems like you might only get achievements for that. Like it doesn't give you anything extra.
Yeah.
So I found myself kind of improvising and letting myself get caught a bit. I would start out in stealth, and then when I found myself in a favored position, I would reveal myself and blow out their brains.
Yeah. There was one extremely stupid spot when you're in Iraq at the very end of the game, and I was getting chased everywhere. I got caught, and so I was just running around like an idiot trying to get to the location to free Gina. And I got to the room she was in, and I ducked down. They couldn't see me in the windows. They knew I was somewhere, but they couldn't see me. And I was standing behind Gina's arms where I untie her. She's like, quick, untie me. I can't. I can't until the alarm goes down. So I just stood there looking at her, and I couldn't untie her, I had to sit there for probably like 30 seconds. It was so dumb.
When you're in the basement of the Vatican, there were several times where I was kind of confused at what I was supposed to do in what order.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't trying to do it narratively. I was trying to do it in my way of like how I solve puzzles.
Yeah.
Or not even puzzles, like video game progression in general, which we have a certain logic to it. And I think this kind of spits on it in a few ways. But otherwise, I think it works.
One thing that is just great about the open worldness of this game, you have to get to this one area of the Vatican, and there can be 3 ways to get there. And it's fun having that organic, I found a way to get in. I explored something, and I got there. And it's cool to have your own experience. And speaking of your own experience, the Tyler experience...
Party guy.
Hey, look at me, grown man who can't maintain responsibility.
Well, all I can say is...
You still got a job, yo.
This should be more important than your real job that pays you, Tyler.
You would think.
Amazing.
All right. You get to speedrun your feelings about this game.
Super good.
Super good.
Now, yeah, so my first impressions of the Great Circle are pretty good. I really like Troy Baker as Indiana Jones. I thought he did a pretty good job. Although Dylan did say that it's a little too Troy Bakery.
He slips.
And once you pointed that out, I started to hear it, especially after I got through Giza.
I heard a lot of Booker DeWitt.
Yeah, Booker DeWitt's a good way of putting it.
I heard quite a bit of Joel, which I don't think it's 1-to-1, but I think that Joel has a bit of indie sounds to him to begin with.
Yeah, like a gruffness.
Except with like an accent.
Yeah. I found the gameplay to be pretty tight, pretty solid. The combat is a little wonky.
Yes.
It's a little campy, but I feel like that's kind of an essence of the films as well.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that works. We were describing it as floaty.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's weird when you get a real gun.
Yeah.
It's like a
rifle.
semi-automatic or something like that. And it's fun mowing guys down, but then immediately, there's 10 Nazis coming at you.
Oh, man, I was good. I was good at it. Maybe you just weren't good enough.
It's funny when you're in the Vatican, and you're in the Vatican because they're not Nazis yet, but they're all called fascist.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I should call my mom sometime. Fascist. Yeah, it's funny.
I liked the way that guns felt early in the game, especially in the Vatican when I'm down in underground for the first time, and you get to the last room where the bulldozer is like falling through, and you got to climb out of the temple that you're in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool.
And there's like probably 5 or 6 fascists in there, and I was sneaking my way through trying to be all stealthy, and I fucked up. One of them caught me, blew his little whistle, and then they were all running at me, and I was like, I can't fight all of these guys.
Yeah,
so you just
then I had
shoot
to
them.
I had to pull out the gun, and it's like one shot down, for the count.
It depends on where you hit, I found, because they do different reactions for like if they get hit in limbs.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So if as long as you get them in like this general area, I think that's what the hitbox is. I think it's over.
It felt real. It felt like it was a really sobering moment because I felt bad that I had to use the gun, but I would have died otherwise.
Well, Indy also doesn't have a lot of health in this game.
No.
He can't take a lot.
No, which is true to form.
I also like that, Indy would never be the guy that takes a pistol, sneaks up behind someone and shoots him in the head. So I like, though, that it becomes a last resort. You're like, well, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Well,
that's exactly what happened.
Ammo is so limited to begin with. Even when you find a gun that like an officer or someone has dropped, it's not like you have this huge, you can't carry it with you forever.
It's Resident Evil amounts of ammunition.
Well, and then you just ditch the weapon. You're like, okay, I fired 6 shots from this rifle.
It's
now
funny,
I just throw it away.
It's funny that you can't reload weepons that aren't
the pistol.
part of your disguise.
Yeah.
I kind of like that though. And we were talking about how, I love that the game kind of places all these implements around you, and then you kind of have to improvise as you move along.
Yeah. I do like that you can't reload weapons that you're not using, because it would be funny to have a priest walking around the Vatican with a shotgun. That's a movie I'd watch.
Yeah.
But like when I was in the Himalayas, it gives you a certain kind of realism, and it definitely feels like Indy to have a shotgun, only have 2 bullets left, and be like, well, I'm just going to baseball swing this at this dude's head, and then I'll shoot the next guy.
Very cool.
It is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the game looked pretty, and it definitely, I think my favorite thing about it is that it pretty much stayed true to the movies and kind of kept me right in the slot of Indiana Jones.
I think the thing that I find most exemplary, biggest standout for this entire game is the puzzles.
The puzzles rule. And
how can they do puzzles better than every other video game? Like what?
I don't really get it.
What's the secret sauce? Because every one of these puzzles is fun to do. I feel intelligent doing it, and they're not like stupidly organized.
What's really excellent about them as well is that you have to actually use your own modes and methods of deduction, which sounds like an obvious thing for a puzzle. But when you, especially in the Vatican where you're, moving that rotating thing and then figuring out how to, get the water into the vase.
Yeah.
And then you kind of fuck up after a little while. And then there's, the 2 dragon, statues up above. So it encourages exploration. One thing I found pretty early on was when you're in that kind of hallway and, there's that, kind of music box looking fucking giant contraption.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you fucking do this? I'm looking at it, and I refused to use a guide in the game. And I almost quit. And then as I was walking away in game, I was like, you just keep pulling other levers. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Observe a little harder. Look at the prompts, asshole.
I love my my train of thought every time I'm running into a puzzle in this game. It is pure frustration immediately because I'm like, I'm not smart enough to do this. And then I fuck up a couple times, and then frustration turns to straight anger. And then there's that brief moment of clarity where I'm like, just take a breath. You can do this. You have a college degree. This is a video game. And then I take a deep breath, and then I figure it out.
I like some of them that are later on, like in Sukhothai, where...
Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't explain at all what you're doing, but you have these little, like, like little pillar guys or whatever.
Yeah.
Little tiny rods or something. And you put it in, and then it makes all these things look to the left. And then you weren't explained what to do, and I just started, like, kind of dicking around. I'm like, all right, maybe I make them all look this way. And I did it, and then, like, the door to the left opened up. I'm like, okay. It's... discovery in a way that works really well. And I like that the main story puzzles generally are not the super difficult ones, but then you get the ones that are like a treasure chest to get a safe code, and you have to learn how to play an obscure game from like South America. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I Googled that one. That was the only one I Googled. But that one
what was the game?
It was like its own weird form of like chess. And you had to know the rules.
Was it Moncala?
No. Moncala makes a little sense to me.
Love Moncala.
It was one of the weirder, more obscure ones. It's later on in the game.
Okay.
No, the puzzles, I think, though.
What if it was what if it was the Cracker Barrel golf tee like triangle game? The one I never figured out how to play.
As someone who I don't think has ever been to Cracker Barrel, I don't know what you're talking about.
They don't have Cracker Barrels from your down home little state?
A little rich for my family's blood.
Whoa. I mean, Cracker Barrel isn't cheap.
I know.
They're super cool, though. They'll let you sleep in their parking lot as long as you have breakfast in the morning. That's a legit rule.
There might be a story there, Tyler.
I just know a lot of people that like live in their vans and like do cross country.
I got to sleep off this Cracker Barrel high. Then in the morning, I'll get more Cracker Barrel.
Sir, did you have too much to drink last night? No, I had.
Stay in the Cracker Barrel.
I don't even know what they have. I had half of the barrel.
Now, they are totally fine with you sleeping in their parking lot.
Well,
the only
RVs,
thing they ask is
yeah.
that you have breakfast in the morning, which I think is a great business model. But speaking of puzzles, I do like the sense of exploration that you get from some of the puzzles, like in Giza, when you're doing the light puzzle where you have to move the light and find the mirrors.
Feels cool.
I couldn't figure out the shapes on the door, and I got the first mirror, and then all of a sudden I hit a spot, and a door to my left just opened. And it's a sense of exploration where it's like, well, I know that's not going to solve the puzzle immediately, but I'm like, might as well check it out.
Fuck around, find out.
According to movies and games, if I were to go back to that time period, I'd be trying to put mirrors everywhere. And I feel like they really overplay the importance of maneuvering light and opening doors.
And it's always in Egypt, too, because they do it in the Mummy movies, too.
It probably just comes straight through Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he had the light pass through the staff, the headpiece of the staff of Ra. Yeah.
I think the puzzles really work in ways of like, it allows you to fuck around a little harder. It's not hard inputs. A lot of them are kind of physics-based. Or even like when you're underneath the Vatican and they're the trials, which I found to be a little boring.
Yeah.
But I still understood why they put them there. Like those weird pillars that you moved and they're hanging. And then you have to find a way to both position them correctly and then find a way across to close the gap.
Yeah.
I found that really... I like stuff like that because I actually think that they're kind of doing what Legend of Zelda does really well.
Yeah.
I think that's what these puzzles are in essence.
I also like that, what's Kratos' son, Atreus?
Loki.
And what's the little head's name? Mimir.
Mimir, yeah.
I like that Loki and Mimir are not like, explain the fucking puzzle the moment I walk into a room. Like, Gina doesn't say what I'm supposed to be doing if she's with me. And it lets me fuck around for a bit. But then they also, apparently, Indiana Jones is an avid photographer, which is something that's never been in the movies before.
It's that one's strange. That one is very strange.
I took so many photos.
They needed a way to make it work. Now, one of my favorite parts of the game is just taking pictures of cats in the Vatican. And they're like, what expiration points? Good for you. I'm like, I can just get points for taking pictures of cats.
I'm just imagining Indy being like, That's an orange tabby. Don't have that for my collection
That's
yet.
for the fridge back home. You take pictures. If the puzzles are not making sense to you, you can just hold the camera up and get hints.
Yeah, and you don't really even have to aim at anything. Sometimes you can just click it in the same spot, and it'll just be like more hints.
And sometimes you're taking a picture of the fucking thing you're supposed to, and it's like bad angle. I'm like, it's dirt, it's head on.
I've been in temples in this game trying to take a photo of something because you get like the little icon that there's like something you can take a picture of nearby, and I'm standing directly in front of it in a temple in the dark, and he's like, "I'm gonna need more light." I'm like, "Well, good fucking luck, Indy."
As someone who took a few photography classes in college, I didn't like this mechanic at all because I am very specific about composition and a bunch of that other frilly doo-doo nonsense. So I was like, oh, but the angle's not right. And my wife's like, why don't you just take the picture? And I'm like, no. I'm probably going to see this in the end credits, and I'm going to hate myself if I don't get this right.
Well, and I'm like, my dude, you're not using a digital camera. Indy has taken 1,000 pictures.
I don't even think they had like those instant rolls. I think that
because he just flops the pictures down at one point. Like you take the photos to try and like.
Where did you have those developed, homie?
Yeah.
No, he has a Polaroid.
They totally existed. Not.
I took equal part photos of like puzzles and things that were cool, like statues and murals and dead fascists. Because every time I like killed one, I was like, yeah, bitch.
It's very funny
You have
that
a death album.
It's very funny for the amount of fascists I killed in the Vatican. There wasn't a lot of hubbub about someone going around and killing 50 people.
And who's this like super buff Boston priest everyone's been talking about?
Yeah.
The handsome one that everyone is suspicious of.
I saw him swinging on a roof with a lady.
It's funny too.
When you climb up something and they're like, well, that's it. I guess we're not chasing him anymore.
They just do things in Boston differently, I guess.
Well, Italians infamously don't know how to climb. We know this.
That is true. I do have difficulty.
Damn it, he's up
Yeah.
6 feet high. Damn it.
I learned at the monkey bars at the park once that I can't do them no more.
I think an absolutely beautiful and elegantly done thing is the journal. The way information is
Yes.
stored.
Yep.
It's super nice, super slick.
Having stopped playing and then going back to it, I actually found it extremely useful, and I remembered all the details, and it's very well written, and it's also got his fucking handwriting.
Yeah.
Did you know they mimicked the handwriting from the movies?
As they should.
That's a detail, man.
There's a lot of references that lead back to the movies, but that's kind of a lot of the gameplay. The story we mentioned takes place between Raiders and Crusade. We're not going to dive into a lot of the story, but we do need to mention some of the Great Circle artifacts. So according to legend, 17 stone relics were entrusted to Noah by the Metatron. And I'm like, ooh, I played Persona 5. I know about the Metatron.
Do you know about the Metatron?
No.
Can you explain?
It's probably a big dick on a chariot god.
No, it's the it's the messenger of God. It's literally like the scribe of God.
I think it's the guy who hates Optimus Prime.
I think I'm with Tyler on this one. You're wrong. It's from Transformers.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Also a really great Mars Volta song.
I love Mars Volta. 17.
It's on Goliath, their third album.
I didn't follow him too much
Fourth
after
album.
Francis the Mute, but
Francis is my favorite.
yes, 17 stone relics were entrusted to Noah and used them to collect examples of the world's animals to protect them from the great flood in a giant boat. He used the relics to transport around the world to collect animals. I hate that it's Noah's Ark. I think that's a stupid artifact.
Right.
I wish it would have been anything, but they had to be Christian, had to be Nazis.
Yeah.
Yep, and we hard to use the good ones.
Just make one up.
Yeah,
I
Make a new
prefer finding the Sun Wukong who somehow exists.
you missed that great episode last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones meets Sun Wukong,
he meets a monkey man who's made out of 1,000 gorilla hairs.
That sounds awesome.
and it's like Terminator goo, so it like forms him.
Like T2 goo?
The artifacts
yeah.
were hidden around the planet, aligned along a great circle in like relics and temples in a circle around the
Yeah.
planet. Sure. Almost all the stones were made of the same material as the site which concealed them, with the exception of the Allmaker relic. Eventually, the Nephilim Order, a tribe of giants believed to have descended from supernatural beings, sought to keep watch over the scattered artifacts, most disguised within idols, and prevent their misuse. This is kind of how the whole story starts. Indy accidentally collects an artifact inside of a cat mummy.
Yeah.
And is stolen by Locus, who happens to drop a specific medallion that opens things and leads him later on.
So this is the moment in the game when they first really were talking about giants a lot. And everything, because I love studying like mythologies and stuff like that. I've read so much of that I immediately clicked in what the story was going to be.
Yeah.
The mystery was completely foiled by myself because I'm like, well, the Nephilim are the result of angels interbreeding with humans before the Great Flood. And I was like, oh, the Great Flood. I was like, no fucking, I'm like, really? We're going to do a Noah's Ark thing? Come on.
I mean,
that's impressive though.
Jim Carrey already did it way better.
Well, and it's also
Evan Almighty.
Steve Carell.
Do you remember that
Bruce
game?
Almighty.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game I was talking about, El Shaddai?
Rise of the Ascension.
Yeah. The Ascension
like
of Metatron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rise of the Ascension would be a...
Rise of the Ascension. That sounds like an actual title to some
It'd
bullshit.
be a little repetitive.
Rise of the Ascension.
Put that in a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But like that game is all about like pre-flood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I already know all this shit. Come on.
I was... And the Ark reveal feels super half-baked because you don't hear anything about it until right at the end. And I'm like... Whatever. Fine.
Did they also mention that it's based off of a hoax and like an infamous hoax? Do you remember in like the 90s, there were like these television shows like Noah's Ark revealed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They
you
did,
remember
like,
it.
Yeah, like Al Capone's vault. Revealed.
Exactly.
And it's like, you're not revealing shit on people.
Well, and then they had
that
like...
was Geraldo, right?
Geraldo, but it was opening the safe for the first time. He thought there would be something in there, and it was really embarrassing when there was nothing in there.
It was hilarious. I've seen it like 4 times.
Oh, well, never mind.
Geraldo actually used to be a pretty good reporter a long time ago.
Until he got hit with that chair.
Was that from WWF?
No, he like...
I don't know.
I've thought of busting
Until he got hit with that infamous chair. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
He had like a Jerry Springer-esque episode where he puts 2 groups of people on a stage together that hated each other and a fight broke out.
Really?
And someone hit him with the chair and he was like bleeding. And he's like, we'll be right back. He's like bleeding everywhere. I'm like, that's what you get.
No, but like it's literally like the location of Noah's Ark in this game is the hoax location in real life, if I remember correctly. I found that to be really fucking funny and entertaining because there's always like aerial photos of the Ark, and I'm like, that's still not big enough to fit every fucking animal. What the fuck is your problem?
Every animal on the face of the planet, that would have to be a gigantic boat.
Well, think about it like this way too, because the world was so unconnected when you see Noah's Ark as portrayed by like 16th century artists, it's literally just fucking farm animals because those are the only ones they've seen.
Yeah.
It's sheeps and cows and like dogs.
There was probably some really dope animals pre-flood that no one discovered, and then they were just chilling and they didn't even know that they discovered, and then they died.
Well, the truth is that the flood is a Mesopotamian myth from the Epic of Gilgamesh that documents early man in early agricultural state getting a massive flood.
No, I think it's from Transformers.
I think the Transformers were there, but I think they were all dinosaurs.
I'm looking for Shia LaBeouf.
Optimus Prime's just kicking over rocks like, we could use a little rain.
Sam Witwicky. That wasn't bad.
That was pretty good.
We go to Shanghai at one point. That was a very quick little sequence.
I do like how
disturbingly quick.
Well, he fights one angry dude with a sword.
I beat him so fast; it was hilarious. It was very reminiscent of in the movies when he shoots the guy who's the sword dancing
with the talwar blade.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I know the name of a sword.
I do really enjoy that. So you have like the Vatican, and then that's a nice little open area. Then you get to Giza, a little bit bigger, and started to pick up on the formula, and then you have the Himalayas and Shanghai,
Which is a lot of fun.
set pieces jammed together real quick.
I kind of like that, though.
I did like that. It broke the game up in a nice way.
Because could you imagine having another thing to tackle right after
Giza? Yeah.
I did not care for Sukhothai too much. Having to drive my boat between everywhere where I found kind of annoying.
Yeah, that did get old.
Although the whole giant snake and having to swim like underground when he gets the rebreather, everyone's, it's a very common household item where you can just breathe underwater for extended periods of time.
Yeah, I saw it in the Phantom Menace.
I got one in my junk drawer.
Yep.
Do they make rebreathers?
The
Yeah.
giant snake fight was the only boss fight I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're actually like, thank God there's unlimited spears, but when the snake comes up and you throw a spear at it, it does feel very cool.
It's rad.
And the puzzles feel good in that. The ending, of course, you wind up on Noah's Ark, and you're having a fist fight with Emmerich Voss doing karate. It's a little long, but the story to me is the moments are well written. I just would have preferred them to take bigger swings than Noah's Ark and Nazis.
You know what really impressed me about this game more than anything? The length. I know it's padded, and I wonder how this game would feel if you kind of just mainlined it.
I started to mainline it at a certain point because I don't know if you guys talked about this before I got here, but I think my favorite thing about the game is the ability to go back and replay chapters.
I didn't even
pretty
know you could.
seamlessly.
Yeah, you can just go back. Although the fucking autosave mechanic is stupid as shit. So I was going back to collect artifacts. I go
Really?
back and collect one, but if you don't, and you can't just save, and
Yeah.
traveling doesn't autosave.
Yep.
So I would have to wander around for another 5 minutes until my hat came up saying it saved before I could travel out, and I had to go back and recollect things because I traveled
You
and
missed
it
it
doesn't
the first time?
It does well. It just doesn't autosave.
Well, in RPGs now, how their save function works is generally if you enter a room, it saves. If you leave a room, it saves. And then also after now they've started implementing the idea like you just beat this bigger enemy, autosave, because we don't want you to get pissed off. Because I thought I lost progress for a minute.
Speed run of this game is at about an hour 13 minutes.
Christ almighty.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
If you
know the map.
if you're just hitting the things that matter, because there's a lot of good fun side content.
I wonder if this has any replayability.
I'm not gonna find out. After beating this game once, I feel like I got everything I need.
Satisfied.
It's like a movie. I feel like I'll go back and if I'm really itching for some Indiana Jones, I'll go back and play it one
If you're
day.
jonesing.
If I'm
Do they
jonesing
have,
for some
like-
Jones,
Yeah.
Do you think they have like a cutscene theater?
that'd be a good idea.
There's a YouTube
Yeah.
That's all I'll probably need.
that'll have all of your 4K stuff.
That's kind of wild.
So they have the ancient artifacts, which are actually just all identical. They're the same fucking artifact.
Yeah, that bothered me.
Yep.
That's
And
why I stopped collecting them, because if I got like a little, because in the early, like literally the first scenes of the game, you have to place the object from where it comes from back in the museum.
No,
which
that,
I
that
thought
wouldn't
that
be
was,
there. That's not that where the artifact would belong.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like I was learning something a little along the way, which at my age, I need all the enrichment I get before I get dementia.
Yeah. Sure. No, it's that was a cool moment. I wish there had been more of that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Match the artifact to its origin based on what you're looking at and what you know.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I love trivia and I love knowing things. It's one of my, I love shoving it in people's faces. I'm like, I can't do a lot in life, but I know a lot of bullshit. And whenever something like that happens, when I knew where every artifact went in that fucking little first part, I felt like $1 million fucking dollars. He's like, Indiana Jones is like, got it right. Pretty good.
And
I like this one.
For me, Marcus Brody was like, not there, Indy. That's the wrong spot. There is a absolutely ridiculous, horrible sequence later on in the game where Indy is tripping balls and he's running through like a forest version of his office for what feels like god-awful 30 minutes. I hated that. That's not an Indiana Jones thing. Indiana Jones doesn't have vision quests like that.
Anytime I'm hallucinating in a game and my movement's all wonky, I generally dislike it.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of it.
I mean, they had to hit like a bunch of these like story beats, like the hero's journey type of crap. And like they needed a belly of the whale scenario, and I feel like they hit it pretty hard with that. But I remember the first time of playing like Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to burn down like this weed field. And you do start doing it, and then the character's like, whoa, trippy, man. Oh, rainbows everywhere. And I'm like, okay. Has anyone on this team actually taken drugs? Because I don't think you have. That's not how it works. It's like, also, why wouldn't you wear a gas mask if you're going to burn down this weed field?
Yeah.
It's just not. I'm like, okay, you wouldn't want to get high.
So the end of the game, of course, Emmerich Voss is killed. Mm-hmm. And Locus teleports the Ark away. He's driving the Ark, and it teleports away because that's what you can do with these stones, these power.
But where is he going to go with it? Like people in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all of a sudden on like Bourbon Street? Is Bourbon Street, right?
If you collect all of the ancient artifacts, there is a room in the ziggurat of Ur in Iraq that has like the biggest puzzle in the game, requires all 45 artifacts done in a certain way to finish the puzzle. And if you complete that, you get a secret ending where Jones discovers a hidden mural showing all the locations of the Great Circle pointing to another location in Antarctica. And then you see Antarctica, the Ark is there, and there's footprints walking away showing that Locust survived and the Ark is in Antarctica.
I don't think he was properly dressed for that.
He's a giant. He's descended from the Nephilim, dude.
Yeah, he'll be okay.
Now explain to me the Nephilim again.
Well, they interbred with humans with Optimus Prime as the matchmaker. He's like, I think you should hook up with that one.
Yeah.
I've got a whole spark for you, humans.
Sam Witwicky.
Sam Witwicky.
This is Megan Fox. She's not in the next movie.
But she will be in the next one.
This is Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. I don't know why. It's the best that we could do.
It's the best we could do. Still great.
But yeah, this is a tease for the DLC called The Order of Giants, which is coming. There will be a story DLC for this game.
Oh, cool. I'll probably buy it. Yeah.
I'll definitely play it, man. And this is how they're going to get me to spend money, because this will not be on Game Pass.
They give you the
almost
treat.
certain.
Yeah.
Probably not.
And I think it's smart of Xbox to release this on PlayStation, because they're not going to have it for PlayStation Plus. If you want to play it on PlayStation, you're going to go spend $60 there.
So they're just going to be making hand over fist money.
Although this is like one of the only good first-person games Microsoft has done in a long time.
Yeah.
I think Halo Infinite was okay.
I don't think it was what they needed it to be.
No, it
and the
definitely wasn't.
online numbers fell off very quickly.
A villain that was in Halo Wars 2?
Man. But yes, overall though, that's my thoughts on the game.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything else they need to say?
No, I think that this is a solid 8.25 out of 10 for me. I don't think this is anything fabulous, but the level of excitement I had all throughout, I think that it gets a little bit more from me. And there are a lot of stuff in this. There are a lot of things in this that I would find unforgivable in other video games. But I think that as a product, as like a whole, it's doing exactly what it set out to do, and giving you that little adventure, that little hit, that little dose of something magic. Even when they didn't quite achieve it, I think it still works.
The mental exercise to do is, would this be a good game without Indiana Jones and the baggage?
Correct.
And it would be a lot less.
It would be a lot less.
I would be so much harsher and be like, I would immediately start the boxing stuff. I'd be like, this is the worst game, combat I've ever experienced.
I know.
I would fucking check out super quick without it being a character I want more of.
Yeah.
But I also think that it being what it is actually does go in its favor. Because if it weren't indie, it's getting a probably 6.75, somewhere around that.
I think people have been fiending for more indie since Last Crusade, and I do think Crystal Skull delivered, and I think Dial of Destiny delivers in a lot of ways too. Mm-hmm. But I think for a lot of people, if it ain't the exact thing that they wanted to remember, then they'll be upset. And this is the exact thing they wanted to remember. So I think a lot of people are just happy to see the indie that they were expecting since the Last Crusade.
Right? It also does kind of like worry me a little bit, because the success of, and we've been hearing about like digitally de-aging actors for a long time.
Yeah.
But allowing these roles that are, iconic, like Harrison Ford's got 2 of them, like Han Solo and
Deckard Cain.
yeah. And Indiana Jones.
Not Deckard Cain.
That's
Deckard
fucking
Cain
Diablo.
is fucking Diablo. What's the name of
fuck
it?
was that?
What's the name of the character in Blade Runner?
It's Deckard. You're
Yeah.
right.
I just made a jump there. Deckard Cain.
I was like, what?
It's the same character.
I'm like, fucking Harrison Ford voice,
Dude.
Deckard Cain. I'm the man who's
Of course,
like
There's a while.
General Ross, the iconic Red Hulk.
Yeah. Well, I just worry.
the iconic Red Hulk.
I don't know if worry is a good way of putting it. It is kind of dangerous ground to have for me to be on with like the ability that we can take some of these roles and in video games you can create a totally unique experience, but you don't have the same person doing the role. I don't know. It feels like people could take advantage of this, but I do enjoy having early indie again.
I also take the sequel somewhere weird. Go to fucking India.
Fucking make it happen.
Go
man.
to Aztecs. Do something that's not fucking Christian mythology and Nazis. Do something weird with it. Bring Short Round back. Have Ki Kwan come back and do some voicing for it.
Yeah.
Put Shia LaBeouf in it.
I would be so fine.
I'd be so down to clown.
Dude,
I actually think Mutt Williams is kind of cool.
Mutt Williams is a great idea, and I think Shia LaBeouf did a great job with it.
Yeah. Sam Witwicky. We have to go.
You're going to be the next Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But I don't want to, Optimus. I think that's how he sounds based on what I remember. Golly, Optimus, I'm not really sure about this.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, fuck.
Let's rank the game.
Oh, we're ranking it. Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle or Doom 2016?
Doom 2016.
Indiana Jones.
Doom 2016.
That is a, yeah. That's in your
Pizza Tower or Indiana Jones and the Great Circle?
Pizza Tower.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Fuck. Pizza Tower is great. Indiana Jones gets me a little more. Resident Evil 4 remake or Indiana Jones and the Great Circle?
Resident Evil 4. It's not even close.
Indiana Jones.
What?
Yeah.
I'm with Tyler. Resident Evil 4 remake.
Fuck.
That's a good fucking game.
Yeah, that's real good.
It's good enough.
I wanted it to be my game of the year that year.
And that brings us to the last game, Balatro or Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
I like them both for different reasons.
Indy.
I will say I have put probably
say-
250 hours into Balatro.
I know you.
Yeah.
I still prefer indie to it though. Balatro is like an addiction. It's not a game.
Balatro's
Yeah.
a problem.
I would say Indy too.
All right. And that puts Indiana Jones and the Great Circle at number 37 on our list,
Hey, not bad, Indy.
which is, we only talk about good games mostly, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts is number 63. For those keeping score at home.
Holding it down.
Holding it down. I can't wait till we cover a game worse than Kingdom Hearts. It's going to be tough.
Well, when did we start doing these rankings?
Well, all the games we've talked about, we had that one ranking episode where we caught up on the previous ones we didn't rank. So
Oh, we did do that, didn't we? Okay. All right. We're Sonic Adventure 2 on that.
we didn't do like all the Sonic games because we just kind of talked loosely about the series.
Oh, right. Yeah,
We also didn't
okay.
rank all the Mega Man games because I wouldn't even know.
That's
how
a
to.
lot of
I don't
games.
know. I don't know how to do that. I mean, obviously, 2 and 3 are the best, but you know.
Special thanks to executive producers Ryan Christianick, Kip Kipper, Brian Ward, Jordan Hoff, Phil Wright, Phil Just Phil, Kelly Gutowski, Bryant Ross, and Justin Melly. We appreciate your support. If you want access to episodes early, as well as all of the different Dogcast Network shows on one convenient feed, a lot of other perks too, like 75 bonus episodes at this point, check out patreon.com/HairTheDogcast. We would love to have you join our community. And if you're listening to this, it's on our new feed for Raw Dogs, which means we need you to subscribe, follow, like, leave a review to beat the algorithm. This is a new location for Raw Dogs, and we need your help. So take care of business for us.
Also, I'll blow you kisses into space, and they'll land directly on your forehead.
Like a little angel kiss from the Metatron.
That'd be me. I'm the Metatron.
Alrighty, friends. We're going to talk some more about Indiana Jones, but that's on Popcorn Dogs. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.